Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming in. It's a great day for the city of Evansville. It's all coming together. Just think about this. A beautiful riverfront, corporate headquarters, an outstanding sports venue right in the heart of downtown, world-class museums, and now a state-of-the-art medical center right in the heart of downtown. This is a day of great pride for the city of Evansville. What the legislature did last night, approved $25.2 million for this wonderful facility right in the heart of the city. The list of thanks to people who were involved to get us to this point is long. It involves the people behind me. It involves others in the corporate community. It involves people from labor. It involves people from our neighborhood associations. I went out and talked to neighborhood associations and asked them for them to write letters and send emails, and that they did. We've assembled representatives from our partner institutions here today to take your questions. And they're happy to do that. Let me just tell you, I realize our job is not complete. This is a day of celebration for the city. Many months ago, our community came together and 4 partner educational institutions signed documents committing to work together. Ivy Tech didn't get funded, but it's unfortunate. But we'll work through this. It is a process, and I will continue to be a champion for Ivy Tech to be part of this in the future. Ivy Tech is an important educational and economic development partner for our city and our region, and I'm committed to help work to make sure that they remain a part of this project. With that, I'll be happy to take your questions, and I'm sure any of our other folks up here would be happy to as well.
Mayor, the exclusion of Ivy Tech, and you or Dr. Becker talk about how that impacts the design, the construction. I mean, is this going to occur now in phases instead of one fell swoop? Can you address that, please?
Well, I mean, the initial start of it has not been changed. The initial size of it will go down somewhat because of Ivy Tech not being in the phase 1. I think it's important for all of us to remember that this in reality is just the start of something much larger for downtown Evansville and southwestern Indiana. This project will go for 10 or 20 years as new things are brought into the region because of what is starting today. So in terms of the timeline, to break ground probably and to have the campus up and running, no, it does not affect that. Obviously, anything that is done now will be done so that there are plans in the future to add Ivy Tech when the funding becomes available to bring them into the campus. I do want to say that just because they are not physically located in the campus does not mean they are not going to be involved in the campus. The simulation center that we're going to be building, certainly students from Ivy Tech can participate in that from day one. I think all of the university partners are committed to help Ivy Tech become part of this campus, even though physically they are not located on it from day one.
You mentioned the funding isn't there for Ivy Tech. Mr. Mayor, how is 2 years the soonest that we could possibly see more funding for the project?
Well, it's a biennial budget, so it's the next time the legislature will consider a new budget. But that's not to say there aren't other funding mechanisms that our community won't explore to try and get them on the campus. As Dr. Becker said, just because they might not be physically located on the campus doesn't mean they won't be involved in what's going on campus. Yeah.
So let me just add, I'm Bob Jones, State Trustee for Ivy Tech, representing Chancellor Weinzappel, who is out of town, unfortunately. But Chancellor Weinzappel and I would say exactly what Dr. Becker said. I think we look at the physical facility. Surely we'd love to be a tenant from day one. But the reality is we're still going to be able to benefit from the collaborative spirit that has already been in place between the universities and the 4 hospitals. We'll be able to use the Sim Center. Last night I had conversations with Jeff Terp, Chief Operating Officer of Ivy Tech, as well as conversations with the mayor and Doc Adams, representing City Council. We're beginning already today to find ways to get Ivy Tech more engaged in this process and beginning to look to the next budget in 2 years to ensure that next time Ivy Tech's part of this. So I would encourage all of us not to get hung up on the physical space. Sure, we'd love to be a tenant, but as Dr. Bennett pointed out in our last board meeting, it's really not about physical space. It's about the collaborative spirit that exists. And the group that's here today, the 8 organizations, it's clearly that we're there. So We as Ivy Tech are very, very excited about the future and what we can do to improve medical education and medical care here in the Southwest region. So I'd encourage all of us, it's not about space, it's really about what we do together. And I know Chancellor Weinzappel is very, very committed to ensure that we're part of that process.
The Mayor mentioned some other funding possibilities or other mechanisms. What are some of the things that you folks might pursue between now and the next?
So we've had 12 hours to think about this, John. I've got a complete plan in my back pocket I can't share with you. The reality is, as you're probably aware, Ivy Tech had a very difficult budget process this year. Ivy Tech throughout the state did not get any capital allocated at the budget we saw. So we're going to take a step back and look for opportunities in how we move forward as a institution. Ivy Tech is critical to economic development in the state of Indiana and workforce development, and I think the state realizes that. We will look for opportunities to work in, there's excess space in the city. There's ways that we can do this, and I think Chancellor Weinzappel is very, very committed to ensure that that happens. I would have worn my Ivy Tech hat, but we don't have them, by the way. So.
Budget times are tough, right?
Yeah, we'd have give up a hat for $40 million, I would have done it. So.
Would UE or USI like to say anything about, being included and kind of what your reaction was to the funding announcement?
Certainly. Well, certainly USI is delighted to be involved in the front end of this project, but I would echo what Bob Jones has just said, and that is the power of this project is the partnership between these institutions, the 4 educational partners and the 4 hospitals. We are already, right now, a model across this state for how to expand graduate medical education. There are already other parts of the states reaching out to us. That's the power of the partnership. It goes beyond the bricks and mortar. It goes beyond one location. Folks, I mean, we're going to be bringing to bear and leveraging a lot of the talents and skills and resources of those partner institutions. So I think it's an exciting time for the entire region and for the state of Indiana, because we're already becoming a model for how to get things done in a regional way that can really power this state forward in medical education.
Dr. Cassini, you weren't relying on state funding, obviously.
No, we're not. And I want to say first how excited we are as well. One of the themes you're hearing expressed here is collaboration. Collaboration is difficult among as many different institutions as we are talking about with the 4 hospitals and the 4 universities. It's for us a particularly challenging endeavor because as a private institution we don't operate on the same basis in terms of funding. For us, from the start, it's been about our ability to offer the kind of programs that will serve this region and this state very well. We are going to be adding a physician assistance program. We're already recruiting students to come as undergrads to the university who will then move into our master's program for physician's assistants. We'd be moving our physical therapy, our doctorate in physical therapy, which is our only doctoral program at the university, to this campus. So from the start, for us, it was about that space that we want to be part of here in the city. We couldn't be more excited about moving forward. I'll echo the comments of others that we hope as we move forward that Ivy Tech's involvement can continue and in fact expand. It's a process, and that involves a good deal of complexity in terms of the funding from the state, available resources they have. But the fact that we've gotten to this point with 8 different institutions working together to do something that is going to be a game changer for the city of Evansville is just remarkable.
And Mr. Mayor, how much will the campus change downtown Evansville with this $25 million investment? What do you foresee here in the next couple of years?
Last May, I was the commencement speaker for 6th school graduation, and I told those students that they should take pictures of downtown Evansville, because when they come back for their 5-year reunion or their 10-year reunion, they will not recognize downtown Evansville. We will know in relatively short order what the campus will look like, but we don't really know standing here today how transformational it will be. we know it will be transformational. We know the collaboration that people are speaking of today is so powerful that it will change and create a whole new vibe in downtown. It's a vibe that vibrant cities rely on, and Evansville is no different.
And Mayor, I know you've only had like 12 hours to process this, but just like John said, where do we go from here? What's the next steps?
I exchanged emails late last night with Dr. Tom Morrison from IU, and we are in the process of trying to schedule an initial planning meeting for as early as next week. So that's the next step.
Is the original timeline that's been discussed all along still in place and opening by 2017, fall 2017?
I spoke with Vice President Morrison about 45 minutes ago, and while he doesn't want to be committed to a timeline or a particular design right now, we're very optimistic that that original timeline will hold true. He thought the meeting was Wednesday, Mayor. IU couldn't be more excited. I think what everyone up here has said, Evansville should not miss the significance of this. Indiana University is the second largest medical school in the United States of America. It has 8 satellite centers throughout the state. This one, right now, for Indiana University, is the model for the future, based upon the collaboration of these educational and healthcare partners. So Evansville will be a leader in medical education in the state of Indiana. We should all take great, great satisfaction in that.
Any other questions?
Well, Mr. Mayor, one other question if I could, just on another legislative issue. The casino bill that passed apparently clears the way for Tropicana Evansville to move its operation inland. Your response to that, and what steps do you expect to be taken there?
Well, very encouraged by this. We'll be having further conversations with the governor, encouraging his signing of that legislation. It creates yet another multi-million-dollar investment opportunity in downtown Evansville. Tropicana has been very open about their desire to move on land, and I think they will move with great dispatch to get that done.
But you don't have any word on timeline yet, again, it's early.
The bill would still have to be signed, so.
Yeah.
Right.
And is there still a general plan of possibly moving the LST to that location?
There's a general desire to move the LST to the riverboat location. The LST 325 had one of its largest attendance years ever last year, over 13,000. So the prospect of moving it to an even more prominent location on the riverfront, I think, will really help it even more.
Space-wise, can the LST fit there?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
We checked first.
It has one of those parallel parking systems.
On the new car.
Steve, you did check into that, right?
Everybody wonders what Schaefer does all day. He's out measuring.
He's measuring things.
Measure twice, dock once.
At the risk of getting too far off the track, would that necessitate a new dock? I'm not a boat person, so.
There would have to be some changes, yeah. But it's a little further down the road.
And Mayor, I don't need to go back to the Ivy Tech portion, but did you see that coming, or did you get any inkling that that was maybe going to happen, or did you see kind of feel kind of positive vibes the whole time?
Late in the session, it became pretty obvious there were broader issues with Ivy Tech at a statewide level, and Ivy Tech's omission from this phase of the project is not a reflection on Ivy Tech Southwest. It's not a reflection of the merits of this project, and as Bob said, Ivy Tech has to address that as an institution at the state level.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody.